This week it's time to get another adventure. This week we're going to talk about Tyranny of Dragons. So this one is actually a 2-for-1. It actually combines the two adventures of the first one is Tyranny of Dragons, and the next one is the Rise of Tiamat, or the Tyranny of Dragons is Horde of the Dragon Queen, and Rise of the Tiamat. So those two were originally released separately by Cobalt Press, and so now that this one kind of combines the two, and is able to give you pretty much like a whole campaign set in just with these two adventures. Like I said, so Horde of the Dragon Queen is like the first one, is like the first, and in this part is the first section, and that takes you to about like a level 7 or 8 or so, and then the second part, the Rise of Tiamat, takes you all the way to level 15. So in a sense, this one is like a complete campaign set unto itself type of deal. It's set in like the Sword Coast and all of the Forgotten Realms, and so you pretty much in the whole adventure you go up and down the whole Sword Coast and everything. So they do give a map of the actual Sword Coast here, and so like I said, you pretty much go up and down the whole breadth of the whole Sword Coast throughout this whole adventure. So the whole concept of this is actually taking the Dragon Queen Tiamat and using evil organizations of the Cult of the Dragon, which in Forgotten Realms campaign setting is a cult that wants to raise all dragons as Dracoliches and everything. But in this campaign, you actually have a member of the Cult of the Dragons who actually wants to not necessarily make dragons Dracoliches and raise them all up as the undead skeletal remains of dragons. He actually wants the main villain in the Cult of the Dragon wants to in a sense empower all the living dragons and bring about a Tiamat into the mortal realm type of deal. And so that's pretty much your main villainous organization that you go up against in this one. You also have ties to the Red Wizards of Thay, and of course I think they were probably brought to limelight in the most recent D&D movie, Honor Amongst Thieves, and so they're tied into this campaign as well. So those are your pretty much your evil organizations, and of course you are able to recruit allies up and down the whole Sword Coast and everything through this adventure. So you got NPC important NPCs from Waterdeep that are that will give you support. So you got people from Silvery Moon, Citadel, Adbar, and the Mithril Hall region of the Sword Coast, also pledging resources to you to help fight this this threat that pretty much engulfs the whole Sword Coast and everything. So and like I said, you also got other organizations like the Harpers, who hey, look, this is a threat, we need to stop it and everything. And so you're bringing in all these moving parts and everything through the whole campaign, and your party is pretty much the central focus of this in a sense campaign. And you can kind of take a center stage and become important players in the whole Sword Coast and everything. So, in a sense, sort of it's kind of harking back to the original Baldur's Gate games, that was that were released. First one was released back in '98, with the whole Time of Troubles, and you being an offspring of the God of Murder Ball, and and you go through the whole adventure like that. So it's kind of the same concept of that, is where you and your group kind of in a sense take center stage of the whole events that are unfolding. So the whole concept of this one is the forces of evil, the Cult of Dragon and the Red Wizards of Thay, the villainous NPCs in this want to, in a sense, bring the Dragon Queen herself, Tiamat, into the mortal realm and take over and everything. And so all the good organizations see that this as a threat, and like I said, you kind of take center stage of this. So this is in a sense a non-Dragonlance campaign where dragons take up the forefront. Of course, most people know, with Dragonlance when it first came out with the Chronicles and the whole campaign set with that, that one is pretty much centered solely around dragons. Whereas like a campaign set like this with the Forgotten Realms, you don't necessarily have to like have dragons in the forefront, and like they can kind of take like a backseat stage to other aspects with other adventures and everything. So now with this one, you don't necessarily have to run both together, but the with the this book, they combine the two so that way you can run both seamlessly. And like I said, you can start off at level 1 with the Horde of the Dragon Queen, and then work your way through right through that whole adventure, and then right into Rise of Tiamat, and all the way up to level 15. So in a sense, you're doing like a whole campaign set and like with just one book and everything. So like whereas most tend to take you up to like level like 10 to 12 or so, like the Curse of Straw takes you up to level 10. This one like I said, takes you up to level 15, and then like you could in a sense from level 15 to 20 or so tie up any loose ends or whatever, and or maybe like branch off into like something else and everything. So this one, like especially if you're into dragons and everything, it would be great to like for a long term campaign setting, because we'll reiterate in this one, is this one takes you all the way from level 1 to 15. So like and like it's the events are like phenomenal and so broad, because like I said, it takes place in the whole like breadth of the Sword Coast, like pretty much from all the way from like the spine of the world, where Icewind Dale is, all the way down to like Candlekeep and like Baldur's Gate, and like near the border of Anne, where like Baldur's Gate game I mentioned, like Baldur's Gate 2 takes place and everything. So this one, of course, I've always been a fan of like dragons, and of course, like growing up, like I was introduced to like that through like a Dragonlance and everything. So like I was in like the 6th grade or something when I first was introduced to Dragonlance and everything. So like I always became a big fan of like dragons. So this is one like reason why I like this, because like I'm big on dragons and everything. So now, of course, like I said, you don't necessarily have to do this one with the Forgotten Realms, because like with the Forgotten Realms, you can like use like the Glory of the Giants book to put giants in the forefront, or you can like use like R.A. Salvatore's books to kind of put in like the orcs and goblins in the forefront, and like maybe use like the events in those books and everything. So, and what's great is like in the back, this actually has like a nice like concept art and everything. So for the whole like game, so like and some of the concept like the art in here is like great and everything. So like for like showcases like all the dragons and everything. So like that, like you're going to find them, of course, like being going up ultimately against Tiamat herself. You're going up against the chromatic dragons, like the red, white, blue, green, and red. And so like this kind of like showcases like all the artwork in that and everything. So like it gives like quite a lot of different like and of course like you got a nice picture of like like Tiamat herself and everything that you can see. And so this whole book is like centered around the concept of like actually like in a sense like a dragon war type of deal. And of course my cat wants attention like usual. See, hi. And so yeah, this one is like centered around like the Dragon Queen Tiamat, and of course like through the adventures you actually do bring in the actual metallic dragons, like the gold, silver, brass, bronze, and copper dragons. They do get involved too later in the adventure and everything. So like and like what's great about this is, like I said, is that like with this is like you're taking center stage of like in a sense like earth shattering events and everything. So like and you in a sense lead the charge, and so like all these leaders of like the various like city states, like Waterdeep, Mithril Hall, all the way down to like a Candlekeep and like Baldur's Gate, they all come together and like pledge your support. And like one of the main good organizations that I mentioned was the Harpers, and like of course like also you see like the Zentarum, which is notoriously known as like an evil organization. They also notice like the threat and like, oh hey, we can't do our stuff if like we have like a bunch of dragons rampaging around. So like That's like a whole concept too in this game, is that you're bringing all these organizations together that have different ideals, different goals, and different objectives. You bring them all together to actually to fight this world-shattering, catastrophic event that's happening. So it's great in that it's so in depth in the fact that, like I said, it takes you all the way to level 15 with both adventures. Now, you don't necessarily have to run both adventures. You could run one or the other. So you could, in a sense, run Horde of the Dragon Queen and then branch off completely differently, or you can start your own campaign, work your way up, and then get into the Rise of Tiamat and everything. But with the way that this book is set up, is that it's set up so that way you can run both adventures back to back and bring yourself all the way from levels 1 to 15. And so the good thing about these pre-made adventures and everything, it does a lot of the pre-work for you as a DM. So you don't necessarily have to do a lot of legwork. You have all the stuff there, so you can just kind of read through and now of course you can also make a do and make when the notorious you want that you need the party to go right and they end up going left, and you can always have enough material in here to be able to counteract it. Okay, they're going this route, so we need to get back on track this way, or and be able to take those side tracks and get back on track and run the whole adventure. And of course you can always adapt it to run from not just to level 15 but a level 20, because I said, you can build upon it, run after and kind of tie up any loose ends or whatever. So this is yet another book in the series of adventures that I'm going to be talking about, so that way people have ideas of pre-made adventures that they can use. So that way as a DM, you don't necessarily have to do as much if a whole lot of legwork that you would necessarily do if you're doing your own world building and doing everything from scratch and everything. So this series is just basically to showcase those pre-made adventures. And so this week, like I said, is Tyranny of the Dragon, which is the 2-for-1 deal, and this one takes you from levels 1 to 15. So this one is great for a long-term campaign setting.